At West Tennessee Bank, our flexible terms, wide range of loan options, and quick response capabilities can save you time, money, and worry. We really like to say yes when it comes to making loans to local people. West Tennessee Bank, a division of Decatur County Bank. We think you'll like us. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Here's a quorum present. We'll go ahead and proceed with the meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed no. Then the agenda is approved. And the first thing on our agenda is the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed no. Then it is approved. And the next thing I have was delegations. I don't believe there's no one here now. All right, and then we will move down to celebrations. And Troy, I'm going to let you start with that, please, sir.
Well, as I shared with the board with your agenda, this past month, I took advantage of the opportunity to learn about some great things that were happening in the classroom for the teachers. And for about 3 weeks in a row, I had several good conversations with teachers about some really exciting things, learning opportunities for our students at all grade levels. And it was a great opportunity for me to gain some ground and learn what good work is happening in our district. So to me, one stood out, and it was something that I just wanted to have an opportunity for the board and the community to learn more about, and it was with Stephen Maurice's work to become more paperless in his delivery of instruction and also assessments. And I want the board and the community to realize that there are some really creative, innovative, and successful ways to introduce technology in the classroom. We hear a lot of the negative, but there's a whole lot of positive. So anyway, I've asked Stephen to come up and share a little bit about it. He's got a brief PowerPoint, and he's ready to go.
I printed off my presentation for you all as well, in case you wanted to look at it later on. I'm humbled and thankful to be with you all tonight. Stephen Maurice, I teach at the junior high, I teach 8th grade science, and I teach one of the REACH classes. There's two types of people when we think about technology usage. And I know Mr. Kilzer and I have talked about this before. You have digital immigrants and digital natives. The digital immigrants are those people who technology is either very new to, or we're just beginning learning how to use technology. Our digital natives are those that have grown up with technology. Those are our students. I'm hard pressed to find a student in the school building today that doesn't have a smartphone, that doesn't have a tablet of some kind, a computer. They love technology and they want to use it. And so I've titled this presentation, Welcome to Google Classroom. But I want to start by talking about CCJHS. And I was told to do this by my principal, so I have to. Junior high? Eagle Pride! There you go. Our mantra is #CCJHS Eagle Pride. We are all about grit, growth, and gratitude. And we have done our best at the junior high this year to really bring out that grit, bring out that growth, and express our gratitude. We've done some new things this year with our Facebook group. We have a Twitter feed, Instagram account. And one of the things that I'm super excited about, and Coach Todd Lewis has done a great job with, is Good Morning CCJHS, which is actually a program that the students are in charge of creating and putting out at our lunchtime. So really neat some of the things that we're able to do this year. I've included a couple of other pictures of some things that we've done, some presentations, of course our Veterans Day celebration, and you've even got teachers in the middle of the gym that are dancing. So I encourage you, if you have not been to the junior high this year, come see us. Take an opportunity to stop by. I think you'll find that it is an awesome place to be. I love going to work. I love interacting with my colleagues. I love interacting with the kids. Junior high is a great place to be. So what is Google Classroom? Google Classroom is a free program to any school that is a Google Apps for Education district, and we are a Google Apps for Education district. Amy Gwynn and Dusty and Greg Oliver have worked very hard to put that together for us. And so when I found out about Google Classroom, I was super excited because I thought, this is free, this is something my kids are going to love. And so I'm able to basically create virtual classrooms, similar to how you can create Facebook groups and that sort of thing, but I can easily assign work for my students. I can save and organize all my information within a Google Drive. It does it all for me. So I create the assignment, I post it in the classroom, the organization is super easy, and my kids have access to it wherever they go. Smartphone, tablet, computer, if they're at home, if they're at school, it doesn't matter. They've got access to their work, which I know Mr. Kilzer wanted me to really point out the fact that I've gone paperless this year. I have not given a paper assignment all year. Everything that I have done has been on computer. That's been a big learning curve for me. It's been a big learning curve for the kids, but I think they've responded very well. One of the things I want to emphasize is that I'm no longer the most important person in my room. And I never should have been. It's now the kids. And the kids are responsible for their learning. They become advocates for their own learning. It gives them an opportunity to individualize instruction and to create a self-paced model that the kids can work through our standards, use me as a resource and as a guide, but it's no longer, let's take notes on paper, take those home, study, and let's come in and take a paper test. It's dynamic. Students are creating things with Google Classroom. I wanted to show you just really quickly what Google Classroom looks like. As a teacher, this is what I see when I log into Google Classroom. I've got all my classes set up. I've got my little folder icons down at the bottom. It automatically organizes everything for me. So when I create an assignment within my virtual classroom, it puts that assignment in a folder and puts all the kids' work in that folder for me. I don't have to do any organization. That part, it just blows me away because teachers are all the time talking about paperwork. I think everybody does. This eliminates the paperwork issue. The About section, this is what my students would see. I have a section where I can list information and post presentations, PowerPoints, PDF files, anything that my kids may need throughout the year that I would want them to refer back to multiple times. I can post it to the About section. My kids have access to it all the time, wherever they're at, which I think is a huge resource for the kids. Huge resource for parents too, because we can add parents into our Google Classroom experience and they can see these resources as well. So when I create an assignment and when I post it, this is what the kids will see. My view is a little different as an administrator, but it's almost the same. So my kids will see the assignment that's posted. They'll see the title. They'll also see any attachments that I've added. All of my attachments are through Google. I create the either a Google Drawing, Google Presentation, Google Sheet for them to work in, and they go from there. I can easily see who's done, who's not done. I can click into that, go to each individual kid, hop onto their work while they're working on it, and give feedback, which is huge, super cool. In fact, some of the first few times that I did it, my kids were looking around going, he's everywhere. Because you can be in one spot, but all over the room. And so it allows me as a teacher to be incredibly flexible. One of the things that a lot of my colleagues were concerned with was the ability for students to comment, which is sort of like Facebook. Because they can comment on lessons if I allow them to. If it's appropriate, I might turn that feature on. But if I'm worried about it, I can cut that feature off. Somebody starts acting a little silly, cut them off easily. I can mute kids, unmute kids. Really, really neat how that works. What is an assignment? Google Docs, I no longer pass out papers. Everything I do, my presentations, I record myself, my lectures, so the kids have access to them anytime they want it. Their assignments are all virtual. It eliminates sharing issues because when I post an assignment or when I post a lecture, every kid in my class gets it instantly. So they don't, first period, first through sixth period, they've already got the work. So if a kid is sitting in another class, maybe they finished their assignment, they can hop onto my classroom and start working. And I can see them working, so even if I'm with first period, I can be helping a kid in sixth period. So incredible features there. Some ideas for those assignments. These are some of the ideas that I was able to come up with. A lot of my colleagues at the junior high are also using Google Classroom, and so sort of ask them, how are you using it? What are some ways that you've seen that are really neat? Some collaborative group assignments. I can assign a presentation, and instead of giving each kid an individual presentation, they can all work on the same presentation at the same time. So instead of it being individual, it's now collaborative, which it's really neat to see what the kids are able to create, which that's a real world skill. You're going to need to be able to work with people as you go into your profession. Individual writing assignments, note-taking templates. All of my tests are on Google Forms. All of them. It disaggregates my data for me. I can see question by question, kid by kid, exactly where my struggles are. As a teacher, that's huge. Absolutely huge. Immediate feedback to the learner. Instead of waiting, a week for me to be able to have time to grade their paper, they have it instantly. They know how they've done their assessment. They know where their weaknesses are. We can pick up and we can move on. Test prep, project-based learning. All of those are features that are easily integrated into Google Classroom. I can attach YouTube videos, attach links, anything from my drive. I can attach documents from my computer. Like I said, videos of myself lecturing. I was out for a week with the flu. It didn't matter. I just recorded myself at home, uploaded it to Google Classroom, and class went on like I was still there. So, great resource. Co-teacher. I love this feature. Specifically with my sixth period, I have a special education teacher who's in the room with me. I want her to be just as valuable a resource to the kids as I am. And so I've added her as a co-teacher. She has all of the same administrative privileges that I do. She can see everything that I can. She can help the kids just like I can. So to me, that is an awesome feature. You could add intervention specialists. You could add your administrators. If you wanted to, inspire the kids and say something like, Dr. Anderson's going to hop on here later. She's going to look at your work. And she has. And for a lot of kids, that's the encouragement that they might need to be able to say, I need to do a really good job with this. Grade levels, department level, colleagues, you can add whoever you want as a teacher as long as they have those privileges. I did want to show you a couple of example assignments. This is actually created in Google Drawings. I know it's a little bit difficult to see. One of my standards specifically says that my students will need to create and explain a pH scale. Okay, I could have done that on paper, and the kids would have been bored out of their mind. Instead, I created a template using Google Drawings where my kids could go in and create a pH scale of their own using whatever they wanted to use. I had kids that came up with colors. They did color schemes. I had some that put pictures in. Whatever worked for them to remember the standard and to learn it well, that's what they were able to do. So that, again, individualized learning. A lot of teachers say, well, I've got this worksheet that I love. I use it every year. Put it on Google. And now you're paperless. So I don't necessarily like worksheets per se, but you can put things like that on there as well. And so that is an example of a worksheet that I took, I put onto Google Classroom. Now, instead of collecting 200 worksheets, I have a paperless option. Like I said, what if I'm not there? Well, I started in the beginning, I said I'm not the most important person in my room. So if I'm absent, it really shouldn't affect the kids' ability to continue learning. And so if I'm not there, the class goes on. I can post assignments from home. I can do what I need to do wherever I am, and my kids can still have access to their learning because the show must go on. Mr. Kilzer really wanted me to emphasize this. Paperless. That was several of our conversations were paperless. Saves work for years later. One of the big things that I like about Google is my 8th grade students are creating a science portfolio that when they go to high school, they can take these resources to high school with them. Let's say a student is applying to get into the biology program or the chemistry program. they can now take their body of work, share that work with the biology or the chemistry teacher, and say, this is why I'm qualified to be in your class. So, I may struggle on a test, but I can prove to you that I deserve the opportunity to be in the class. So that portfolio, we can start from kindergarten and work our way all the way up. And they've got a body of work to demonstrate mastery of their learning. I left my contact information there for you. One of the things I wanted to express to you was, if you'd like to see Google Classroom and the way that it's being used, I'm not the only one that uses it. I love it. I use it almost every day. I'd like to invite you to come someday and spend some time with the kids and see what they're able to create. I've been shocked. Kids are incredible. They can come up with some really innovative ways to use technology, things that I would have never thought of. So again, I appreciate the time that you've allowed me to spend with you. Thank you, Mr. Kilder.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Do the kids know when you're monitoring
Oh,
them? I mean,
they
as far
can
as their
see,
work?
they see my name and my picture.
That little icon pops up in the right-hand corner.
The very first year I did it, which was not this year but last year, I started using it extensively. I had one little girl, we had a love-hate relationship. I popped in on her screen and she goes, "Oh, the devil is here." She knew, I'm monitoring. I'm there. I didn't have to look at her because she saw my face. So, oh yeah, they know.
Giving test, first period, second period, sixth period. How does that, explain it to me, how they sharing questions. There you go, that's
I create a different test for each class period. And I have that test set to randomly put the questions out there. Once a kid logs into the assessment, they have that one shot, unless they come to me and I, as the administrator, unlock that assessment again for them. But once they've taken my test, I keep it to where they don't have access to the questions until everyone is finished. Because I want to go over those questions later, but I don't want them to have them that day. So they can see the questions they've missed, but when they log out of that test, that's it. They can't take it with them. And even a kid who's this screen to that screen, their questions are going to be totally different just because of the randomness.
You have sixth period every
Well,
day,
that's
every class.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, again, I would just say, and as I shared with Bob earlier today, and others who know, when we had our countywide in-service, when we had a breakout session, there were several teachers that really gained a lot of information from Stephen as he led through those breakout sessions using this technology. Again, we are all the digital immigrants living in a world where these kids have grown up living in it. And when we are trying to move to a more robust education that infuses technology every day in the classroom, sometimes budget keeps us from putting a computer in front of every student every day. But just like Stephen said, these children have cell phones that have access, they have iPads. I have to confess, I bought a few for Christmas in both cases. So to be able to use that in a constructive way, rather than being afraid of it, we're showing the students by modeling about how better to use it constructively, which ties into work after. Very good. Okay.
Next thing, would you like to introduce this?
Yes. This other stranger, I learned about her recent accolades. Was it last week? Yeah, I guess it was. Last week on the 13th. I learned that there was, or is, what's called the 2018 Sterling Awards. This is where they recognize the top 20 women in West Tennessee, the top 20 most influential women of West Tennessee. I learned it at a chamber meeting because Emily Johnson, along with Dr. Belinda Anderson from Chester County, were both recognized for this, which I think that's a great recognition. Here we are in relatively a small county in West Tennessee, but we have 2 out of the 20 who were recognized, so we're very proud of that. And just to give an opportunity, I know she introduced herself at the first of the year,
But she is so much more seasoned now than she was then. And I just want to give her an opportunity. Of course, Stephen spoke, and I would say on behalf of the majority of the staff at the junior high, and it's not just because she's sitting here, that they enjoy coming to work. They enjoy the events, and the kids feed off of that too. So we're very proud of the direction that the junior high is going, and I truly believe that there'll be low-hanging fruit soon. So, Dr. Henderson, if you want to say anything, just bow, courtesy, whatever you need to do.
Probably not. I can do a really good curtsy if you'd
Yeah.
like me to do that. I'm pretty talented at that. I guess my whole point would be to tell you and go through and talk about, I guess what my elevator speech would be, is what we got to do at the Sterling Awards. Talking about being humble, I sat in a room with 19 other females, and they came up and told their stories, and I looked around and wondered why I was there. It was so impressive, and I was very honored to be there. But my mantra has always been to do the right thing for the right reason at the right time, and when in doubt, always lean toward the students. I felt that way when I was at Freed-Hardeman University and Lambeth University. When I worked at Eastchester, I felt that way when I worked at Somerville Elementary. When you don't know what the right answer is, you lean towards your students. And that's exactly what the junior high is doing. Prime example is right here with Mr. Maurice. Not only are we paperless with him this year, but because of his initiative this year, we're headed to a science class next year that will be co-taught by him and Kendra Fricks. Ms. Fricks is very good with the hands-on project part of it, and Stephen is excellent with the computer end of it, and so the two of them are going to be combining together to work as a co-teaching position in there. Not only that, but the junior high has been awarded a pilot program. We're one of 4 schools in Tennessee that's going to be doing this program. In fact, we're the only one in West Tennessee, and it's called the Summit Learning Program. It is a basically Google Classroom program. It's paperless is what it is. It requires the teachers, needless to say, you can't do it without us, otherwise we'd be very sad because we'd be out of a job. But it is a program where all of our 6th grade students are going to be able to get on and move through a curriculum at their own pace, at their own level, with our teachers guiding that. And we actually go this July for training in Atlanta, Georgia, and there will be 14 of us traveling down there, and the company is paying for everything, so don't worry. They're taking care of it. I'm not here to ask for any money whatsoever. So we're very excited about that. So 6th grade is changing instructionally next year. 7th grade is changing instructionally next year. And with Google Classroom, we have ELA and social studies. It's going to be interdisciplinary. Christy McManus is writing our curriculum for us. Stephen Maurice is putting it on Google Classroom. And so our 7th grade will be changing immensely, and then our 8th grade will be as well. So I'm thrilled and honored. There's nothing greater in the world than to be a principal of a school, particularly with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Every single day it's an adventure, and that is really a true story. So I appreciate all that you do for us. I appreciate you allowing Stephen to be here. I am honored that he chooses to work at our school and honored to be part of Chester County.
Stephen, thank you very much. Stephen, thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
She was talking to me.
She just gets out of hand.
ADHD.
Fix and say, right, stand.
Get me. Yes, I can do it. Not effective.
Thank you for your
very much
work
for
today. All right, let's see. Now, this is an exciting part. I know Troy's
Well,
going
it's
to
exciting for
numbers.
exciting for 5. This, I feel like Battle White or somebody, or
Oh, that's fun.
where we have the opportunity to honor again each month, starting in January. We're recognizing 3 of our certified staff and 2 of our classified staff who have had perfect attendance. That means no sick days, no personal days. Now, if you remember, gentlemen, we had a very tumultuous February. A lot of kids, a lot of folks sick. I'm getting some amens on the Eastchester wing over there. We did have 99, though, of our certified staff that were able to make it through the month without missing a day for personal or sick needs. And so we're going to recognize, again, of those 99, I'm going to pick 3, and these people, again, are part of this incentive bonus where they're going to have $200 added to their next payroll. So I know the numbers were left off of yours, but I have the numbers 1 through 99, and I'm going to let Bob, so it's not like a slided thing that I'm just picking who I want. You see the numbers? Okay.
We need to be able to look at these.
Okay. All right, you ready? We're gonna, the first one, wow, number one,
Hey, I can tell who that is.
Okay, that's Melissa Alexander.
Melissa Alexander, so one of the junior high crowd. Okay, so that's the first one selected. Next one is gonna be number 35, Bob. Which one's that one?
Okay, 35 is Misty Hall.
Misty Hall. And then the third one of the certified staff is gonna be number 48. What number is 48? Or which person's 48?
Let's see. Emily Humphrey.
Okay, Emily Humphrey. Got another one. So we just, junior high rocked that one, 2 out of 3. So again, yes, I will be sending them information tomorrow to let them know. Now for the classified staff, of course we have a smaller crew of staff, but we have 44, if I'm not mistaken, is that right? 44 classified staff who have perfect attendance? 43? Okay. Yep, that's right, 43, okay. So picking, and again, for our classified staff, we choose 2 to receive the same bonus. So without drum roll, Stephen, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. The first one is 4, so.
Okay, Jeffrey Ballou.
Okay, he's a high school, he's the one that receives you at the office, so Jeff Ballou. And then the second one for this February month is gonna be number 34.
Sharon Rowland.
Sharon Rowland, another one from the high school, so those 2 will be very excited, and again, we will be tracking this. We're going to be doing this for another 2 months, and we're going to be, again, the incentive is purpose to raise the number of staff, hire full-time staff at these schools to increase their attendance, again, to support better modeling for our students, to drive up our attendance records, and hopefully greatly improve our chronic absenteeism from the previous years. So, thank you very much. I'll be communicating with those tomorrow.
The next thing on the agenda is going to be some recommendations for policy revisions. I think policy committee met on those, didn't they?
We did. We met, now this is going back about a month, because we didn't meet this month, but we met the preceding month in February. And during that time, there were 3 policies, if you remember, Shane and Glenn, that I was waiting for the draft from the TSBA to provide me so we could take a look at it. Those drafts are included in your packet. In fact, one of the drafts that was that I included, because I think your packet was left out, is one that was 5.1411. You had 5.1141 teacher effect data. You had 5.105, which was recruitment of employees, and then finally you had 5.106, which is application and employment. Those were the 3 of the policies that we reviewed back in February, and because of the early date of the current revision, I sought out the TSBA to provide an application, or excuse me, to provide the draft, and it didn't come until after we had met last month. So, what I have asked you to do, again, what you should have is you'll have a copy of the one that just reads Chester County Board of Ed, but you'll also have one that has a blank header, and that's the draft from the TSBA with the same numbering system. Now, in most of these cases, the content is virtually the same. Some of the script looks cleaner than ours for those 3, and I would encourage the board, because I've looked through this and I don't see any major revisions. The policies stay fairly consistent. That's probably why we were still carrying it. But I would ask the board to consider updating these newest policies for those 3. Again, it's 5.105, 5.106, and 5.1141 for that purpose. It's just pretty much the same, but it's just a little bit cleaner copy, more current.
So I make a motion, we accept the drafts as our policies.
I'll second.
We have a motion second, we do accept the new draft policy. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no, and it is approved.
Okay, I'm still on the policies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I still got policies.
I've got both of the old policies in mine.
You do?
Yeah.
Now, in some, the 5.1141, is that the one you're saying?
Yes.
There is, if you look underneath your, was your envelope, I had another separate.
Oh, okay.
So I made you a copy of that, that's it.
Yeah.
If you look at, there was another policy included in your packet called Policy for Attendance. It's 6.200. At the last board meeting, this was part of the policy drafts that the TSBA, because of recent changes in law, had sent us a revision. When when the board accepted the revision last month at the meeting, there was still one more step to do, and that is to where we have to embed within that policy procedures that are tied into the law. And here's what those procedures are. The language of the draft, you should have a draft that looks like this, 6.200 without the Chester County header. That is the actual policy that was approved last month. But if you notice, for those students who have at least 3 unexcused absences in session, there are expectations for procedures that the district has to adhere to. We have some options of steps that we can take, but it's a 3-tiered approach for resolution, hopefully bringing them up to be able to identify the issue, to rectify problems that they have, maybe to get to school on time. And what I've done is, with John Fry's assistance, is we went through what the current law is. I didn't include this with your packet, but it is Public Chapter 379. This is the adjustment to the law that we went through, and seeing these new sections of requirement for the school folks to be responsible for. What you have in the policy 6.200 is the full amount. What was included in your board pack is the more revised version of meeting this 3-tiered approach. Again, once a student has 3 unexcused absences in succession, we have to apply Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Well, Tier 1 if it works, Tier 2 if it doesn't, Tier 3 if that doesn't. But we have to be very specific, and the board has to decide what in the procedures we will include in our policy.
Boy, it's a drawn out
Yes,
policy.
it is. It's more work on us. It is. But here's what I've learned, and John echoed this when he talked to Roger Boland, who's juvenile officer. Roger said that if we do not, and again, it was not as a threat, this is what they're learning. If we do not have evidence that we have fulfilled these tiers of approach to correct chronic absenteeism with these children, they will not see them in juvenile court. They will throw out the case until we have evidence that we have gone through this process. That's what the state law requires. So the onus of fixing it goes back to us. It's thinning the herd of those students who appear before a juvenile judge. That's what it is.
Who's gonna sit down and do all this and keep up with all the paperwork on all this?
That is going to be decisions that we will do collectively with administration and their attendant staff. It's going to be, again,
That looks like a nightmare to me to try to.
it is going to be, again, the responsibility is on us. It is. Now, some of the stuff we already do. Some of that stuff is already
But
attended.
a contract, I mean,
Yes.
that's.
Yes. But now, again, there's going to be some drafts that can be followed through with all of them. Because again, the issue that we're trying to fix with this is students who are chronically absent. Initially, it's not going to address everyone. It's just going to address those who, but 3 is a very small number. So initial steps hopefully will correct most of the issues. But you have some that have been habitually absent year in, year out. Kim can testify. We see babies at the kindergarten through 3 grades that Belinda's still having to deal with. So this is a matter of trying to put more resources in the path of the students and their current practices. But again, state law requires that we take more ownership with these tiered approaches to correct before the child goes before truancy court. Not, truancy board is a step before the truancy court. So it's my recommendation that what was included in your board pack is accepted as our procedures for policy 6.200.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
If we're gonna do it, make it.
We have a motion second, we accept the policy with the tiers 1, 2, and 3. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, and it is approved.
One last one. Last month, I provided a policy consideration that we do not have currently adopted in our plan. This is for service animals in district facilities. I provided you last the draft that the TSBA had, and I also provided you a copy of what Nashville Metro uses. Now, at the last meeting, it was just a matter of you reflect on it, and tonight, we would like to proceed with making a decision whether we accept this or not. We have had a parent speak to a staff member here at the start of the year that they were interested in service animals. This is a growing trend. These service animals can either be a dog or a miniature horse. I can give you more details later.
You know, I didn't realize that, but it said it would pull a wheelchair. Could pull a wheelchair, the miniature horse.
Who cleans up after the horse?
It is the responsibility of the caregiver for the animal. My recommendation, when I gave you the TSBA example and then also the Nashville Metro, I believe, in my personal view, that this TSBA model is more, it's easier to adhere to, would be my recommendation. And that's why I've included again in this board pack. We have not had anybody as of late, nobody has talked to me at all. It was another staff member that this parent had talked to. And again, the stipulation with these service animals, they have to provide a specific work related to that child's disability or handicap. It can't be, as I shared with Bob, if I've got Bully Bob bothering me third period, my dog can't bite him on the shin when he bothers me. It has to be a specific work related to that child's disability or handicap.
Is there a contract that that person has to sign that says they're liable for this service animal?
We have within this, you would develop procedures with the process. What you've got to be careful of is just like HIPAA. You can't learn all the details of the disability. You have to ask the right type of questions to get the right type of response.
You're talking about their dog biting somebody.
Right. The liability of it, that is a concern.
Yeah.
That is a concern. And you can read a lot of the legal, we're not the only one that's ever done this in the nation. And those things have happened on occasion.
Is there a limit on the size of the horse they can bring in?
It does say miniature, but it didn't measure how many hands. I would say it needs to be able to easily get in and out of the building. And the miniature horse has to be just like the dog. It has to be potty trained. Or it has to be house trained. They're doing this already in Hardeman County, I guess.
Well, I guess I make most.
It's for your TSBA policy.
We have a motion second to approve the TSBA policy for service animals. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That is approved also. All right, the next thing is going to be approval of textbook adoptions for the district.
Every year we have a requirement by law to have the board to consider our textbook adoption policy. As it has been for the last several years, we have what is considered a blanket adoption policy where all the titles are included. I believe Sarah provided you a copy. It's a very fine print spreadsheet. Again, this came from Jill Faulkner as Supervisor of Teaching and Learning. She also bears the responsibility of ensuring that we follow through with this each year. So this is a yearly thing.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the textbook selection. Any other discussion?
Yeah. Do you have a textbook, young man, that you use?
I do have a textbook.
Okay.
And the textbook that the textbook committee has looked at adopting for next year comes with an online platform as well. Every student would have a textbook that is, it's almost like a workbook that they would work
Follow
in,
through.
manipulative, that would be replaced every year, and the online supplemental portion.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Not all in favor of the textbook adoption, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That is approved. And I think we do have some of the updates we're going to be opening bids at Westchester, is that correct?
That's correct. Rich, you wanna?
10 o'clock tomorrow. Reached out to several roofers, but I don't think I've only received one bid
Thus far. Matt
thus
Law.
far, unless others show up tomorrow.
But you have reached out to one out of
Reached out to,
Jackson.
one out of Jackson, one other local.
Chambers.
Chambers is the
Chambers is the one.
I don't think he does the.
He probably, I called and asked, they said they thought so, so I
Did you
said.
advertise this on?
I advertised it's on the
DSBA?
web, it's on the web page and on the newspaper, and then I called a contact out of Memphis who knows a lot of contractors and he put it out there.
And run it independent's a waste of time. I mean, I hate to say it, but
But you have to, but you have to put it in, you have to put it in the news source, you have no choice.
not many people are gonna read it if it's contractors and not it's roofing.
Now, they look at our website pretty religiously, because I get calls consistently from Nashville, one of those sites that's watching it, that have subscribers that tries to keep jobs out. They ask me constantly, how much did that one go for? Who was the bidder? They want to know a lot of information. So there are people watching our website, so it's on there.
Did you put it in Jackson Sun?
We don't, but
We have on occasion.
we have on occasion, it just depends. We haven't had, it costs more, you don't deal with local people. When you go to Jackson Sun, you have to go through Nashville to come back
But with
around.
roofers, though, you're not gonna get any local
No,
people
but
that's in the roofing business.
even when we do an or even with Jackson Sun, that we think that we've advertised, didn't see any more uptick in local. We satisfy, I just try to call as many people as I can find on the webpage and call them my limited. Anybody who's been a vendor, I have a vendor list, and whoever's on my vendor list, I call them for sure.
And then the roof vendors,
No,
Matt Locke and the one that was at Jack's Creek is about the only two we've ever.
it's, there's some people, every once in a while, I get some interest, and I always say, we don't have any jobs now, but I will put you on my vendor list and I'll call you. But there's just not a lot, there's really not a lot of commercial roofers in this area. Memphis or Nashville is what and will they drive for a small roof?
We had one in Memphis that did it for a while. But, it's before you were on that job.
Yeah, I think he did the Eastchester, didn't he?
Yeah. Of course, he couldn't have that, it come a flood.
Yeah, the whole roof off. That's what his fault is.
Well, I mean-
Anybody on the board have anything
So
else?
the first man was trying.
All right, our next meeting will be April the 26th here at the office at 7 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion with adjourned.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no?